In this section, you're going to see the fastest way to remove a background in Adobe Photoshop. We begin by opening the image and observing the full workspace. I zoom into the Properties panel where the Remove Background button appears. Once it's clicked, Adobe Photoshop instantly creates a layer mask and clears the background. I use a soft, round brush to clean the remaining edges around the subject. When you look at the final cutout, you'll notice how a single action can produce a clean, professional result in just seconds. Here, I'll show you how to remove a background using Select Subject together with Select and Mask inside Adobe Photoshop. First, the software identifies the main subject automatically. Then we enter the Select and Mask workspace to refine hair and edges with the Refine Edge brush tool. Adjusting smooth, contrast, and shift edge helps tighten the contour. Once the mask is applied, you'll see a clean separation between the subject and the background. This method is especially effective for portraits, hair strands, and complex outline. In this part, we'll use the Adobe Photoshop pen tool to create a precise commercial quality cutout. I begin by placing anchor points around the product and adjusting Bezier curve handles to follow every contour accurately. The completed path appears in the Paths panel and is converted into a selection. When the mask is applied, the edge becomes extremely sharp and smooth. This technique is essential for product retouching, catalog work, and any situation where pixel-perfect accuracy is required. Now we'll explore an advanced technique for difficult subjects using Adobe Photoshop channels. I examine the red, green, and blue channels to find the one with the strongest contrast. After duplicating the selected channel, I increase contrast using levels, then paint black over the subject and white over the background to finalize the separation. When the channel is loaded as a selection and turned into a layer mask, even fine details like curls or transparent fabric are preserved. This is a pro-level method for challenging images. In this section, I'll use Adobe Photoshop Generative Fill to remove the background and restore missing edges. After selecting the subject and inverting the selection, the background is deleted. Then I activate Generative Fill with an empty prompt. Adobe Photoshop analyzes the edges, rebuilding natural hair strands and soft transitions automatically. This is one of the most powerful tools for clean extractions, especially when the original image has gaps, missing details, or uneven lighting around the subject. Here we focus entirely on refining hair inside the Select and Mask workspace. After letting Adobe Photoshop detect the subject, I open Select and Mask to examine the hair outline. Using the Refine Hair button and the Refine Edge brush tool, I recover small strands and soften the halo effect. Fine adjustments using radius, smooth, contrast, and shift edge create a natural, polished result. This step is crucial for professional extractions where realism and edge quality matter the most. In this part, we refine the cutout manually using the Adobe Photoshop brush tool. I zoom into the layer mask thumbnail to inspect the edges closely. Painting with black hides unwanted areas, while painting with white restores details that were cut away. Adjusting brush size, hardness, and opacity helps control transitions along complex edges. This method gives you complete precision and is perfect for enhancing masks created by automated tools. Now we'll use the Adobe Photoshop Object Selection tool for a fast and accurate subject selection. I highlight the tool in the toolbar and draw a simple region around the object. Adobe Photoshop automatically detects the boundaries and creates a clean selection. In the options bar, I switch between rectangle, lasso, add, and subtract modes to refine the result. After final adjustments inside Select and Mask, I apply a layer mask. This is one of the quickest ways to isolate a subject with minimal effort. In this section, we take advantage of quick actions inside the Adobe Photoshop Properties panel. I zoom into the workspace and select Remove Background, letting Adobe Photoshop generate a layer mask instantly. I then refine the remaining imperfections using a soft brush on the mask. This workflow is ideal when you need fast results for thumbnails, mock-ups, or simple compositions. Even though it's quick, the final output still looks clean and highly usable for most projects. This time, we isolate the subject using the Adobe Photoshop Color Range tool. After opening the Color Range dialog, I use the eyedropper tool to sample the background tone. Adjusting the fuzziness slider controls how much of the background is selected. The preview window helps fine-tune the selection before applying it. Once the selection is active, I create a layer mask, leaving the subject cleanly separated. This technique works best when the background color is consistent across the image. Here, we remove the background using Adobe Photoshop blend modes. First, I duplicate the main layer and experiment with multiply, screen, and overlay to separate the subject based on light and dark values. Then I open the Blend If sliders and split them with the Alt key to create smoother transitions. When the subject becomes clearly isolated, I convert the visible contrast into a selection and create a mask. This is a powerful trick when dealing with strong highlights or deep shadows. For the final method, I demonstrate the Adobe Photoshop Background Eraser tool. I select the tool from the toolbar and adjust sampling, limits, and tolerance in the options bar. By carefully brushing along the hair, Adobe Photoshop removes the background while preserving fine strands. Adjusting brush size and hardness helps navigate complex areas. This method is especially useful for images with soft edges, where precision and manual control deliver the best results.